I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the Cat SHV. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have a very exciting guest. She is an actress and activist who has been a vocal supporter of Sis Thee Jellicle Ball. I've been a fan of hers for a while, and I am thrilled to talk cats with her. So welcome, Sis Thee Doll, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited because I know I started actually really learning more a couple years ago about your, like, what you do and everything from you because of the Jellicle Ball, because I think we were at a performance kind of at the same time. And then I know I started seeing the posts from you, and then I got, I started following along with all the stuff you're doing, and I was like, this is great. And then we saw each other at the media day. Yes. So I'm pumped to talk about Sis Thee Jellicle Ball. But I actually want to start before the Jellicle Ball, because were you a Cats fan before this, or did you, what was your Cats history before the 2024 PAC version?
Yeah, I am a Cats stan. I think Cats is definitely top 5 favorite musicals for sure.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, okay, what is the first thing? The first thing, and it's funny because me and Jalen have talked about this before, but so Barney's Great Adventure, which was Barney's film, the one Barney movie that is was in theaters, et cetera, et cetera. So that VHS and DVD, I guess, for the people who watch it on DVD, has the Cats movie, not movie, but the Cats movie before 2019.
It's the trailer, right?
Yeah, it's the trailer of it. And it really just got me as a kid. And so whenever I would watch Barney's Great Adventure, and I wonder if there's another Barney movie that I'm also a Barney stan, so that's another thing, but I wonder if there's another movie that it's on, but I would always watch it over and over again. And one part specifically was Rum Tum Tug. I in my personal mind, I'm I think that was my sexual awakening. But yeah, so that trailer would just I was just stunned every time I watched it. And I was just oh my gosh. And I think me and my mom would go to the library all the time. And I think I might have gotten Cats from the library. Maybe. I don't know if I did then or much later, but I do remember another time. This was fast forward to me being in high school, maybe 9th grade. I was da, 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 and I was what song is this? Because it was just time. And this was, I think, the summer of my musical theater awakening. And I was da, 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 da. And I was what song is that? And I think Google had just come out with that thing where you could sing into it and it could find the song. Yeah. So I finally, after hours, found Rum Tum Tugger again. And so then I dove, in. But there were also just moments college. Everybody I went to college with loved Cats. And that was also how we could connect to the dancers and stuff. And in 2016, I think, 2016 was the other revival. But 2017 was when I had come that summer to New York when I was in college, and I saw that production, and I was just oh my God, I loved it. And that was my first time seeing it live on stage, and that was just, I still remember how I felt, and I remember being there to this day, because that was just a beautiful show. And I love Cats, and throughout my whole life, everybody was always Cats, Cats. It doesn't make sense. I remember my theater teacher hated Cats. And then, oh my God, I'm blanking. Also, my biggest connection to Cats, which is the craziest thing. So I did speech and debate growing up in high school. And there are, speech and debate was really big. So I did poetry. And so I finaled at state with Cats. The Old Possum book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. I picked out the poems that I liked and I put them in my poetry book, and I finaled at state, and I had all the different characters for these cats, and that is one of my biggest moments in high school, because it's what the heck. But yeah, so I'm a Cats fan. So that actually,
I love it.
That is that. I saw the 2019 version in theaters. It was in the middle of the night. I don't remember liking it or hating it. I think I just felt indifferent. But yeah, but that is the catch up. That's the catch up.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I love that you got to talk to Jalen about that, because he also mentioned the Barney, the Barney thing to me, and I had not seen that. I didn't know that. And so that's a really fun connection. And that's what got you into it. And then humming it for early Google. It's like, this is like the Shazam of it, of being able to ask the song, but that's what you piece together. Like, I don't know why it stuck in my head, and then you saw the first thing. So are you, like, how familiar as watching it as, growing up, and then going to see the 2016 revival, which was different choreography. So I've learned this over the years, but with Andy Blankenbjord, is that something to you that you even kind of like picked up on the differences, or more of it's just like, this is still Cats, it's your first time seeing it on stage and you're just loving every minute of it?
I wonder how invested I was in that part. When I was in college, I was so anti-movement, anti-choreography. So probably not that invested. I did notice differences in the show, and like that, I noticed what was new about it, and then what was, classic about the recording. And then as of late, I know I can tell the difference between and back then I didn't, but the original London recording and then the original Broadway recording. So now I know the difference between those, because they're just so different. But not necessarily the choreography, no.
Okay. I mean, me neither. Yeah. I couldn't have told you the difference. I'm not a dancer or singer or performer. But so then I want to fast forward now to the Jellicle Ball, because when did you first get wind of it? Because I'll give you, just from my experience, I learned about the idea of it from they had the posting for casting, and it went a little, not viral, but mini viral. Of enough people started talking about, hey, there's this kind of different posting of Cats, because there's, at that point, nobody knew what it was, and so it was just a reading, and they were just having people come through, and I think it was a 4+ year journey, and then obviously it's announced to come to the PAC and come to the Perlman on stage. Yeah. Where in that 4 years did you first hear about it?
You saying that is jogging my memory. I remember talking to a friend about it, because he was like, I wanted to do the music for it. This is one of my friends who was in Cats, and he was like, I wanted to do the music for it. Or he pitched to do the music for it, something like that. And I remember maybe, because I'm trying to think about was this around in 2019? Because the 2019, 2020, 2021 part of the industry is weird. But I want to say I heard of something, of there being a Cats revival and it involving ballroom early on. I remember that. But when I knew it was happening was the summer of 2023, because that's when I auditioned for it. So that's all I can remember. Okay.
So you're again, I mean, you're so connected in the theater community and everything you're doing. So you've got friends that have done Cats.
Yeah.
And, you're right. In 2019, it was on tour, because it finished Broadway and it was on tour in the United States. And that ended obviously in 2020 during COVID. They paused that. I actually somewhere have a ticket to stop in April of 2020 in Indiana. I was going to go. They actually mailed the ticket still, and I was going to go home for it. But obviously that performance did not happen. And then you auditioned for it. So talk about the audition process.
It was not a process. It was not a process. This is so early on. This was for one of the workshops that we're doing that summer. And another thing that I'm remembering is I was in the national tour of Oklahoma, and I don't know if it was the non-equity tour, the first time it was going out non-equity, or the revamp or whatever. We were touring with Cats at the same time. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Because my friend Taylor was Isabella. I remember that. But anyway, so yeah, it wasn't a process. It was literally I got an audition submission for an audition for Cats, or this thing, on my birthday. And I remember filming it on my birthday. And I was so mad because it was for Mungo Jerry or Rumpelteazer. It was for one of them. And I was like, I'm not going to play this role. I'm not a dancer. Yeah. And so I knew, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to book this. I was so upset. But I sang Memory, but it was the Memory, I think, that Syllabub sings. And it was just that. And that was that.
Okay.
And I was like at my mom's house, and I was living in Houston at the time because I had finished tour and I moved to LA, and then I moved back to Houston. And so it was a part of my transition time. But yeah, it wasn't a process. It was literally just a 16 bar cut of that memory and that.
Okay.
That was the first audition.
Who would you want to play most?
As a kid, and like just like in the definitive, I guess, version of Cats, quote unquote, even though I feel like this now is a definitive version. I guess I saw myself in so many places and parts, but I guess back then I was like, oh, Rum Tum Tugger is so fun because I love that song. But now I think definitely like Monkish Strap and Grisabella, like those are the two places in the show where I'm like, I see myself.
Yeah. So that's like, do you have a different thought from the, I don't want to call it traditional Cats, but like from the Cats in Cats costumes to the Jellicle Ball? Because they've redefined a lot of them in the Jellicle Ball, just the way they're telling the story. Which is it still Monkish Strap and Grisabella?
No, that's what I was saying now. That's now.
For now. Yeah. Okay. What about in the other Cats?
So the first Cats would probably have been Rum Tum Tugger.
Tugger. Okay. I love it.
Just because I love that song so much.
Okay. So now you've obviously seen 2016 Revival. You are a Cats stan. You're convincing haters to come see it. Tell me the first time you went to the PAC to experience that.
The first time I went to the PAC was Juneteenth 2024. And I think that was when it was in previews. I don't remember which, I think it was like early previews, like maybe like first week or whatever. But yeah, that was the first time I went to the PAC, and I was so excited about it because I love Cats. And my biggest goal and my biggest dream for this industry was the crossover of trans women, specifically Black trans women, and like the fight of how can we have a place and find a place in this space, because I felt like there was being a trans person in this industry for the past, I guess, 2026, 7 or 8 years now, not feeling like there was room and not feeling like there was a guide, to go off of. I felt like it was finally something that came to fruition for me of like, oh my gosh, I'm about to go to the theater and see trans women on stage, and also in my favorite show,
Yeah. And in one of the most key parts of the show. I mean, like the major, it's an ensemble show, but like a title character with a key song. And Temperance is incredible and does an amazing job with it. So yeah, there's such a level of representation that the show brings to not just like to trans women, to the ballroom community, to a lot of underrepresented communities. That is really, really special and spectacular. And I love, like, one of my favorite parts of the show, and I say this knowing that I get sometimes a little bit hate of this because it's one of my least favorite parts of the other version when you do it. I don't really love Moments of Happiness. It's never been my favorite song.
The finale?
No, the to start one? Act 2.
Act 2 beginning. Okay.
I've never loved that song. I think it's a very slow intro into Act 2. And it's like kind of Old Deuteronomy singing, a way to come back, but doing it the way they do it in this production and the way they did at the PAC. And then obviously we saw an early preview, so I'm assuming they're going to be making adjustments, but they're still shining a light on the ballroom community in a way that makes that song way more powerful. Yeah. And so it's like even that is representation and history. And like as someone who, thankfully, I learned a lot of the ballroom community by doing these podcasts and by the show, but I went home with more interest in learning more. Yeah. And I think that that's a really cool part about the Jellicle Ball is it is shining a light on a space that, doesn't necessarily always get it. There's Paris is Burning and a couple, like a little bit more mainstream version of it, but this is another mainstream avenue for it to be able to share a story.
Yeah, I think that part is very beautiful. I love it. Yeah. Do you have any more? I was trying to think about it. I'm trying to think about it and try to invoke feelings. I love Moments of Happiness, but I love Gus is the Theater Cat better because I think that Junior sitting there and saying all of those things does for me, I think because I know the ballroom, you know what I mean? My eye is different to it. But I think where the intersection really happens for me is when Junior says, I knew how to gag, and Junior says the theater is certainly not what it was. Like that story that Junior is telling, that is what like takes me.
Yeah. So as I was watching the first preview again, and you know, I've obviously seen Cats many times and seen the Jellicle Ball a couple times at the PAC, and now again, it almost floored me because Junior does a really good job of taking the song and the poetry and still having that ballroom flair with it. And those lines you just said are delivered in a way that like calls to the ballroom piece, but it's also like these are poems from the 30s. And like it's kind of amazing that it is able to transcend some of that and be able to be delivered in that way and still have that powerful experience when it's something that was definitely not written with this in mind.
Yeah, but you know, I think that's where people kind of get it confused, because art built on top of itself and history built on top of itself, and ballroom and commentating and all of that really, I think, shining as we know it today in the 80s and the 90s, that is that is from poetry, and that is from prose, and that is from speeches and all of those things. And it's about being heard. And so I think it's all the same and it's all one. And I think that's the beauty for me of how many intersections the story has to ballroom and theater and how it makes sense. And then it's like, when I watched it for the first time, I like ran to Jalen and I was like, I see what you were doing. And I was like, I can't believe it made that much sense. Like, there's no reason to me it made that much sense. But when you think about it, you're like, yes, this is it's all one. And I think that's what I was saying earlier. It's just like people, and I think my biggest thing as a creative is like, I really care about relatability. And as a director and as somebody that like just enjoys creating, like, I really want everybody to see our like commonalities. And I think that's what I love so much about this production and this show is it's painting it all in a light, showcasing that this is all one. It's all one thing. Like, I am not different from you. You are not different from me. We might color it differently, but it's all the same. Yeah.
I think that's also too a part of where like in the cats costumes is like, there's kind of always a joke that it's like, they're just cats at the end of the day. Like, like there's personalities and they're family and everything, but they're also cats. Yeah. And I was nervous at this in the beginning, mostly just because it was so foreign and different at the time. Like, it just didn't, my brain couldn't really figure out what they were going to do. And then I walked out of the first preview I saw going like, this just removed all cats haters hate by eliminating the two biggest pain points I've always heard about cats, which is it's a little strange because they're in cats costumes and the story doesn't make sense, which I actually firmly disagree with, but I do understand how it's confusing the first time you see it. Yeah. Like it's kind of hard to piece together what's happening unless you know it. This eliminated both of those things. They are in incredible Queen Jean costumes. Like, they are not in cats costumes. They are in incredible costumes, and the Broadway one is even more spectacular. I mean, they made some really cool updates, and kudos to Queen Jean. And then it's a clear story. Yeah, like it's a very clear, by adding the contests and the runway and walking the runway and all the different like pieces. It tells you a much clearer story of Grisabella's arc and all the different character arcs and all the different things and how they relate. And so I converted a lot of cats haters with the Jellicle Ball. Okay. Because I was able to say like, go, like, even if you hate it, unless you hate the music, which is rarely the answer.
The music is fire.
Yeah, but that's usually not it. It's usually a story. And I'm like, go watch this and tell me. And the amount of people that walked out of the Jellicle Ball and said, I get it, or at least I understand it, I've not heard any bad pieces of the Jellicle Ball. Yeah. And so I love it because it's bringing a different light to cats, while also bringing a different light to other things, like you said, like the just that we're all seeing this from a slightly different light, but we're all seeing the same kind of thing, which I love.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never felt I never didn't know what was going on, which is interesting.
Where your cats stand,
right.
Like, you get it.
I know, but I'm just like, I never felt like, I feel like anybody could. I also reading the book and like having that and knowing it, but also if you don't get it, it's just a myriad of stories, a myriad of tales about these, different cats. So I don't know. But it's also interesting too, because a connection that I made was a lot of the times in ballroom, the categories are referred to cats. And so it's so interesting when you think about it like that, because then it's like, there's not even you don't even have to go deep with the name. Like, it's categories, like these are the categories you're walking tonight. And these are the kind of cats that are, a part of this story. So that's very interesting too. Was like, oh, period. Like there's literally this production of it is exactly what's on the page.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. You were, you obviously did a lot of social media kind of like buzz for it and posted a lot about it and kind of in a super fun way. Did you get any unique replies to it of like any Cats haters or any kind of people that didn't get it?
No, I think those people know not to,
not to come to you.
No. I mean, a lot of my platform though, like I have such a specific platform, I feel like, and very rarely do I feel like people engage with my content who don't understand me or don't understand anything I'm pushing or what I'm trying to say. So no, that's so interesting. I wouldn't even know what to say.
I kind of ask a little bit because I do get some.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But it's because my following is very like it's all cats related. And I did, obviously a lot of people started following along to the show because of the Jellicle Ball. Yeah. But there are some, what I'll call them traditionalists, like they're not in Cats costume. This isn't Cats. Yeah. And I firmly disagree with them. I am a believer that this is a different, it's a reimagining of Cats, but it is like, I've told some of the Cats fans, I know like the fans I know, that like, you're seeing the same show and a different show and like, you will love it because it's the same music. It's the same kind of characteristics of the characters that
exactly,
but it is a different choreography, which I love, and like in a different way. It's just a different show in the same show at the same time.
Right. I believe it's everything a revival should be, and I think it's like we're very refreshing and something that theater needs right now, and I think something that theater needs to understand. And I say theater meaning the people that make decisions and the people that are a part of it and want to be a part of it. We need to see how far text can go. And I feel like this is something that they were much better with back in the day. I feel like as of late, revivals and specifically theater has kind of entered this place of like paring down and scaling back instead of also just like looking and seeing and turning the page or turning a light to something else and still going as big. Because this is still Broadway to me. And that's what I love. It's still loud and it's still bombastic and it's still just full of just color and light and music and the wigs are incredible. Shout out to Nikki and Matt. It's like there's so much about it that is just iconic that I'm like, this is Broadway.
The other thing that really held up, I mean, again, I saw first preview, so I feel like maybe it's a little skewed. So I'm hoping to see if it, as I go back in a couple weeks, the energy at the PAC was also something that you couldn't match. And like, there's nothing like that on Broadway at the time. And this is, it was my biggest fear when you transferred to more of a proscenium view and it wasn't like now the way they did it, we had on, Rachel was a scenic designer, kind of really shared a lot of the vision behind that and some also some of the cool things that they did. The energy, there were multiple standing ovations. People were still clacking their fans behind me the whole time. Like it held that part and that's just not on Broadway anywhere else. Yeah. And I think that no matter whatever your experience is, you are not going to walk out of there like quiet or tired. Like you will walk out of there having at least had a good time, no matter what you felt about it. And I think that's such a unique piece to this on Broadway. Is that you will walk out more energized than you walked in. Yeah.
I felt it's interesting because I think I'm in the 5, 6, 7 world. I want to say 6 or 7. This is my 6 or 7 time seeing this specific production. And when I was watching it the other night, I was like, why am I still emotional? Like, why am I still, like, why do I have any grand feelings anymore? And not because it's not good or incredible, but I've seen it 6 times. Like, I know what's going to happen, and I know how they do it. And I also am very close to every single person on this stage and who've created this. So I know what's going on, but I still feel so strong about it. And it's a feeling that I chase and I want more of, and I can't wait to go back again because it's so special. And I think that that's just like, that's what musical theater does, and that's especially when it does it well. And I just feel like this production, and I feel like Cats does it well as well, but specifically to this, I feel like they've taken it for all it's worth, and it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah. As you said, you're close with people on stage and you've gotten to know them, and how is that experience too of having such relationships and then going to see your friends doing something like this, and then also too seeing them, like a lot made their first Broadway debut and a lot are getting a different level of exposure that they probably have not had before in such a positive way. Yeah,
it's incredible. I think this is what I wanted. This is what I fought for. It's like my Christmas gift, because it's like when I did the Trans March on Broadway, and that was, I think, in direct response to Cameron McIntosh, who basically was like, trans women shouldn't lead musicals, or trans women shouldn't lead Broadway shows, or whatever. And at that same time, I was about to play Ado Annie in the National Tour of Oklahoma. And I was like, this is so damaging, because all the time, even today, to this day, I get trans girls who come up to me and they say, or they DM me and they say like, oh, like, I'm so proud or happy with what you're able to do or what you're doing in the industry, because a long time ago when I began transition, I felt like there wasn't a place for me or a space for me. So I left and I stopped. So I'm like living vicariously through you. And it makes me so sad, because I'm like, people feel like they have to give up. People feel like, there's not room for them. And that was a feeling that I had, and I'm not going to give up. I'm going to see it through. And to be able to see so many dreams manifested in this way, it's like, period, like it's happening, so it's very special to me, and there's so many people in the show that I have so many specific connections with, but I have been so my friend Kaya, who's in this show, she plays etc. I have just been watching her, and we did this workshop together of this musical, and just seeing her on that stage, like making her Broadway debut, it just was like, oh my God, like it's just incredible when people get an opportunity to shine, like what they do. And there's so many other people in that show that I love, but I just speak specifically just when I was watching her. And I also felt similarly about Laomi, because I've been a fan of Laomi for so long, and I did season 3 of Pose. I was like a featured background for the whole season. And that was like my first entry into the industry. And that was 2019 and 2020. And getting to watch Laomi like make her Broadway debut in that way was so special, and just like, oh my God. So I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Laomi's, the way they wrote the McCavity, like they kind of not change, but like they tweaked the arc to really utilize Laomi's like skill set and story and everything, which I thought was a really, really cool update to what they're doing. Yeah. But I do want to talk a little bit about your activism, because there's you've done a ton of work. You just kind of mentioned a little bit about some of the stuff you're doing for trans women on Broadway and in general, and this show is obviously a piece of that, kind of giving a spotlight to it. But what's your recommendation for someone that maybe is listening to this that is less familiar, or wants to be an ally and maybe isn't in New York, or has some of these ways to help? What's kind of some recommendations on like what's the best thing for that person to do or to help?
I mean, I think it's a hard, because it's a broad question. I think that things have to be on your heart, right? Your things have your interests have to be there, and your, you know, desires have to be in the place of, if you are if you're a poor person that wants to support the art, and you're like, wow, there's so many trans people in this industry that are doing things, you know, if that's the person I'm talking to, then I would say, like, you know, support them. Like, I don't know how else to say, you know, like, everybody's doing stuff. Like, there's so many trans people in the industry, and there's so many things happening that are featuring and involve trans women right now. And I also want to say, like, I am advocate for all trans people. I don't want anybody, the non-binary people or the voice to be mad at me, but just speaking specific to my experience and those of, like, my girlfriends in the industry. But there's so much. And I think this year, I know this year, this is probably the most trans women specifically that are going to be on Broadway in a whole season. And I'm like, I don't even know. I'm trying to figure out how to celebrate that. Like, we have Naomi, we have Garnet, we have B Noel, we have Temperance, we have Kaya, we have that. I think that's Cats. I wonder if I'm missing anybody from Cats. Then Dylan's in 6, and then we have Michaela J and Ananaya in Rocky Horror. I'm trying to think of any other. Is that lady still in Oh Mary? I don't know her name, but there's, like, so many people on Broadway right now that are, you know, trans, and so that the needle is being pushed. And I think that what I love too is it's not being done in a way of, like, specificity, and that's what I wanted to get away from. And I think, you know, everybody had to learn that from 2020 of just, like, not doing stuff just because you felt like, oh, I just need to do this to do it, but just people being talented enough and it being a moment enough to just make it happen. So I think if you just, support the arts and find those trans creatives that you want to support and invest in them and, you know, speak of them. I think that it's very interesting too, just like going back to the conversation of relatability, everybody is going to support what they can relate to or see themselves in. And I think it's very important to shift gears and invest in and talk about and speak of other creatives that aren't white and aren't cisgender and aren't, like, just like, there's other people doing things. So that's what I have to say.
I love the idea of, like, support what you love and, like, find it in your heart and being able to find the ways, because there are a lot of cool things happening and good things happening, and it's being able to shine a light on all of it and finding, you know, like, not narrowing in on one or the other, but I think it's such a really cool way to think about it. And like you said, the representation of having and seeing people on Broadway on the stage and in these roles that historically maybe they weren't in is the way the next generation sees that they could do it too, which is so important. Yeah.
And it's also just like for example, like, you know, Temperance, who was freaking incredible. I love her, she's sister. You know, Temperance could have been in the original version of it. You know what I mean? Like, Grisabella, like, Lilius White was Grisabella Nicole Scherzinger. Like, there's so many people who have been Grisabella in that production. So it's kind of like also just, I'm very big on not making things a thing when it's like, this is also normal. It's just a woman playing, you know, in this way, in this story, we are able to very, you know, hone in and very specifically tell this specific story that she can relate to so much. But also she would have been incredible in 2016. You know what I mean? So I think it's also, for me, I'm like, well, I wish people could just open their eyes a little bit more, you know, and just get an idea a little bit better, because there's all of these things that are happening. Like, ballroom is a form of dance. Voguing is a form of dance. So these are dancers doing a form of dance that they are specifically, they're emphasized in, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I'm sure there's not nary person on that stage can't do the original version. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just say, all to say is, like, everybody is capable, but I'm happy that this production is able to shine a light on the talent and what is happening in my community and our greater community, because we're all here together.
Yeah. Yeah. The dance, you'll walk out like floored about what they're doing, even though it might be, like you said, it's a style. It's a style that's different than what the original Joey Lynn choreography is, but they put a lot of, like, work to keep some of that Jillian Lynn and Andy Blake Buell and, like, the Cats parts too in there as well. So it's a really cool mix, and I mean, they're Baby and Primo and Deva are like just incredible dancers. Silk like it does stuff that I can't even fathom. And so it's cool. I'm so excited for more people to get to see it. So I want to hear, what is your pitch? I want you to do 2 pitches. One to the cats stands that are out there that maybe are a little worried about seeing a different version, and then to somebody that knows nothing about cats. What's the pitch for the Jellicle Ball?
I think if you're a real Cats fan, then you are very fake if you decide not to see this show. That's my plea to the people who know the show. And then for people who don't know the show, I think that I think there's a lot of fluff on Broadway right now. I don't think there's a lot of stuff with heart, unfortunately. And I think Catch the Jellicle Ball is a show that the whole family can really love. I guess maybe there's some moments
12 and up. 12 and up is the recommended.
There's some moments, with Rum Tum Tugger that do go there, but
there's just a lot of Tugger. There's a lot of Rum Tum Tugger.
You know what I mean? But but outside of that, I feel like there's so many people that can walk away and see themselves in this show, and I think it's also just fun, and I think it's exciting, and I think it's just money well spent to come see the show, and I think you'll leave feeling some type of way. I've seen it 6 or 7 times, and I feel very emotional. So I think that this is a show for everybody.
Yeah, I agree with everything. Yeah. I like that. I like that if you're a Cats fan and you won't see it, fake fan.
Well, because it's like,
let's call them out.
Right.
Come see it.
What's your team? What is your favorite? What's your favorite part of Catch the Jellicle Ball?
My favorite part? I there's so many.
I know.
I think I messaged Emma after because I forgot. I sent her a note. She plays Cassandra in Skimbleshanks. I love the updated Skimbleshanks to add some Spanish singing to it, and the MTA feel like it's just straight New York.
Yes.
But I forgot how chaotically, the chaotic energy that she brings to Cassandra is so fun. So I love her moments. I think the stuff Silk does is so spectacular. I love the Mungo Jerry and Rumple teaser version. The whole thing, I love that they put also in the playbill that they're from Victoria Grove, New Jersey. I don't know if you saw that, but there's just such a really good kind of piece. I thought the way Baby did the Victoria solo was really cool.
That. Oh my gosh.
There's so much, and it's and I'm someone who knows the cats cats. The 2016 is when I saw it first, but the 1998 movie. Yeah. And I love that I get the overture and I get all these different pieces and I get a slightly different story and I get Bustopher Jones, who's pretty gets a lot of hate in the other Cats version because it's just kind of a random song mixed in. Yeah. It's been defended by a few Bustopers, but Nora's version's awesome and adds a lot more layers to the character. And has stuff that's happening throughout, the bartending and the things there's more to Bustopher there than I get in the other productions. So I just think the way they do everything, and then they use Ken really well in Ken Ard, who's original Broadway. Yeah. They brought Ken in to do some really cool stuff as a DJ, but also dance and bring other stuff. Naomi's parts are really cool as McCavity. You can't beat Andre the Shield singing some of these songs, and then Dudney's
incredible.
The ending too of the way Dudney does the bows is nothing you get on Broadway. Yeah. And so I could go through everybody and probably list something. I was I love Silbob taking photos and kind of bringing that very innocent idea. I just love everything about this thing, and I love that it's bringing so many Cats haters around, doing something while being exactly the same. And really just the energy. You can't beat the energy in that room. And I've seen it now 4 times. Probably when this comes out, I'll probably have seen it at least the 5th, maybe 6th time. Every time I've seen it, I've walked out with such energy and hype and heart. I can't fall asleep.
Yeah.
I am so energized by the production and everything that happens. And I think if nothing else, at the PAC, I sat with some people that I was, I asked them, I'm hey, how'd you decide to see this? And they were we've just heard it's incredible and it's super fun and really great energy. And they knew nothing else.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I've seen a couple things like, I won't say which shows, where I was like, I don't know if this audience is going to get this humor or get this show or, or understand what they're seeing. And I've seen people walk out, especially like when I'm doing regional productions in Indiana, these season ticket holders, they don't give everything a fair chance. Like they're out. They're out quick.
I know that to be true. Yeah.
And I've never seen that happen in this. Like everybody walks out with energy.
Yeah.
And you might have your critiques or your things that you like everyone does. But I think the vast majority come out and have such positive things to say about the show and recommend it to everyone they've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very cool piece. And like, I'm obviously a cat stan and not I'm not an unbiased opinion on this, but I have some unbiased Cats haters that walked out and said that was worth it, or that was super fun, or really cool, or I learned something I didn't know, or I'm more interested in learning about ballroom because I didn't, they didn't know as much about it, and that's unique to me. Yeah. And like you said, there's a lot of stuff on Broadway that doesn't bring that. Doesn't mean they're not good and they're not well done and talented people, but this does, and I hope it's rewarded and people see that and people go and get to experience and it runs for a while.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think that the fact that it's even happening is it. I feel like that is a testament to where we are and what we are able to do. And I want so much for Sis Thee Jellicle Ball, but I also just want so much for everybody that has a dream to be a part of this industry and everybody that has been cast out. And like, that's literally what ballroom is about, is people who have been cast out having an opportunity in a moment to shine and be the Jellicle choice. So I'm glad that this is opening doors, and I just want to see so much more of this, and so much more of these people decorating this industry.
We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. Well, that's a great way to pivot to some rapid fire.
Okay.
So let's go into, these are all cats related. You can answer either as your Barney cats or as
Barney
the
cats
Jellicle Ball.
so
So I'll let you either answer either way. So if you could go on for one night, I think you've kind of already answered this, but one night, who do you want to play?
It would be Grisabella. I can do it. Grisabella, I think that would be the easiest, less stress, but like I would feel the most rewarded with a monkey strap moment. I feel like that I would be able to showcase all my talents.
Okay. Who are your favorite and least favorite cats from a personality wise? So like if you were hanging out with them, which one would bug you and which one would you love to spend time with?
Oh, I'd love to spend time with Longtime Tugger. And that could be in the cat's costume or that could be Sydney. It doesn't matter.
I usually say take the performers out because I'm like, which one don't you like? So it's like, no, I'm talking about like which character personality would bug you?
Oh my gosh. I love Jonathan and Dava so bad. I love those people so bad. Those are very close friends of mine. I love them dearly. But I think I'm like a terrible Caesar. I'm like,
They'd bug you a little bit, a little too mischievous.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite song in Cats?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard. Oh my gosh, Skimble Shakes is incredible. Skimble Shakes in any version is incredible. I loved the way Emma did it at PAC. I love the way Emma does it now. I just love Skimble Shanks. That is one of my favorite songs. I love Skimble Shanks. I love Rum Tum Tugger. I love Old Deuteronomy. That's a beautiful song. I love Shireen's version, and I also love Braxton's version of Gus the Theater Cat. It's so beautiful. I also really like Growl Tiger's Last Stand, but nobody really knows anything about that, and that's like a 10-minute song. But I do enjoy that moment. I'm probably missing some, but oh my god, yeah, I really
you basically
love
named the album.
right.
You just love it all. That's great.
Right. I really love this score.
Okay, I always ask one fun one. And did you get to do the guest judging at the PAC?
No, not at the PAC.
Okay. Are you like, if you get to guest judge, which now I'm going to start this petition to get you on as a guest judge, because you did get to do it at the media day.
Yes.
What would be like, is there anybody you would chop or not chop that you're not supposed to?
I chop Jerry and Rumpelstiltskin, even though they do get chopped.
They get chopped.
I chop them. Who else did I chop? I don't know. I don't think there's anybody else I chop. I don't think there's anybody else that
Okay. Okay.
This is gonna sound like I have a vendetta against them, but I don't. I don't. I have a very good reason. When I was in high school, me and this girl had to do this like musical theater showcase in class, and this was this girl that didn't really do theater and didn't take it seriously. And so I was like, let's just do Mungo Jerry Ripple Teaser. And the day we had to perform it, she did not know her stuff. So I am just the anti-Mungo Jerry Ripple Teaser. Anyways, back to the question.
I love that you can pinpoint the exact moment that your hate for these two, not hate, but that this is really where you dislike them is one school moment.
Yes.
So, okay, that's fair. Which house would you be in between all the houses in the show?
Yes, House of Glamour. House of Glamour. Okay. And then this entire podcast centered on the me believing that the wrong Jellicle choice was made in the 2016 version I saw. So I want to know who is your Jellicle choice and why. And you can give me two different answers if you want to give me. Now I'm going to keep calling it the Barney Cats, Barney Cats or the Jellicle Ball, because I do think the Jellicle Ball personally does a better job of giving the Grisabella story. Yeah, I felt like that. And then when I listened to the reason for your podcast, I was like, yeah, this production isn't really great for this podcast. Because
no, it's really bad.
I mean, the Jellicle choice is, grand prize. And I think that Grisabella, and especially the way it's done in this production, I think she's a cat that has been through it. Like, she knows. I think Gus doesn't need that. He's not ready yet. I think Gus is still teaching and telling the kids how it is. But I think that Grisabella is the Jellicle choice. I think she's done her time. She's done her gig and she's done her thing. And I think forever she is the ultimate Jellicle choice.
Mm-hmm. I think this production, I remember when I first saw it, I went up to Bill and Jalen after and I was like, I think y'all ruined my show.
Yeah.
Because my argument against Grisabella, besides the joke I made in the beginning, was really centers around, I don't think that she's ready to die and that she should spend time, like she should be welcomed back for the redemption and spend time with her family. And this doesn't tell a death story. Yeah. It tells a going back, back into, being accepted back into the ballroom world, or being back into the limelight, to being a light shined on what they are capable of. And so I'm like, this kind of, it's a different ending. Yeah. It's a different story. Yeah. And so I do agree with it in that sense. But then I kind of jokingly said, you know what? A lot of people win in this show, though. So it's not just Grisabella winning. So we've got a lot of trophies and victories.
Exactly. Here. You know what I miss, though, that I don't think this production is going to be able to do is I miss when Grisabella would walk up the stairs and she opened the door and you could hear like the outside of New York. Yeah. I thought that was so freaking funny. But now it's like different because she like goes up the stairs and ascends in a different way.
I'm curious if they'll be able to figure that out because I like the sound because it also again doesn't make it feel like death. It feels like it's going back into the world. Yes. But I also, where I was sitting for the first preview, I couldn't see the top of the stairs because it was overhanging a little bit. Okay. And so I wasn't sure how she actually went out. And so I'm like, at some point I'm going to be sitting on stage.
I think what I remember is I was talking to Timbers and I was like, damn, maybe you pop up those stairs. Yeah. But like you, I think once she clears it, it starts going up again. Okay. I don't think you really see specifically what's happening, but yeah.
I was really impressed with that because it was one of the things that was like kept a secret.
Yeah, it was very shocking.
And so it was very shocking to see it because I was waiting and I kept actually looking for a while at the back wall to be like, is there a door somewhere over there? Like, are there even stairs over there? Like, how are they going to do this? And then I kind of was a little floored when I don't want to spoil it, but when the stairs, the way it happened, I guess we're spoiling it. Just go see it. But the way that there's stairs, there are steps to the heavyset layer in a very unique way.
You know what else I really loved, and I think there's two moments of this specifically, but I love that when she's going up the stairs, Naomi, Garnet, and Kaya are standing together, and those are the trans women in the show. And then I also love when Naomi and Ken are singing together, because if I remember correctly, that's just McCavity specifically, and now they brought both of them on it, and I think that's it's so beautiful.
it is something that if the more times you see it, and it's so clear that this creative team spent put so much really, really quality thought and time into all of those moments. And those are all very intentional. Yeah. And I love that they have like Josie Kearns, who knows cats and like, is it, on the team, and bringing through all these different pieces so that they can still, again, stay true to cats. Yes. But add all those elements that also bring in, like, even the casting announcement didn't just say, here's the cast. Yeah. It is, here's the ballroom, here's the theater. Like, they broke it out into the way that they went about this. And it's so intentional. Yeah. And I think it's like every time I see the show, every time I saw it at the PAC, I picked up something else that I'm like, oh, that was really smart. Yeah. Or that was a really clear decision that helps. And especially when it thinks like it helps with the story. Because like one thing is with Leomi is the McCavity storyline is very different in this production than it is in the other Barney production. Because that McCavity is very bad and like is breaking all the laws. Whereas this McCavity is part of this community, part of the family. And Old Deuteronomy is not being kidnapped per se. Old Deuteronomy is saying, I'm going to cover for you as McCavity. And I love that change because I thought it was much more of like the McCavity story was it could be so evil. But you know what? And this is not evil. I also think it's also, and this is a little woo-woo, but I think it's dependent on perception. Because when you say bad, right, and you can look at it in a multitude of ways. And when you said bad and something else, but like when you think of like bad and mischievous and all of these things, like in ballroom and in our world, those words are like period. They're like that is fine, But in this world, it's like, oh, you're a thief and you're this and this and this. Whereas like in ballroom, when you mop clothes for a set, like you're going for your effect. You're going for your ultimate look. And like, we have no other choice but to stand because you did what you needed to do. Whereas in the other world, it's like, that's terrible. You're doing, bad stuff. But I think it's also on perception. And I think that's the beauty of how this production just kind of shifts the lens, of like, it's all in the eye of who's, taking in the art, So yeah, it's interesting because I just don't feel like, I don't feel like it's that different. I feel like it's the same. It's just how you're looking at it. It is so true. A lot of my original kind of like parody and jokes of this were stemmed from like a certain line in the poetry or in the lyrics that I kind of ran with. And like that happened a couple times where it didn't get me in trouble, but kind of like jokingly, like McCavity breaking every human law. Yeah. I was like, well, that means you did some really awful things. And then the other one for me was the Gentleman's Club for Bustopher Jones. I was like, well, that has a very different meaning in the U.S. than it does in Britain. Yes. And so I'm like, depending on how you view those things, I'm like, that's a very different story. Yeah. And so you're right. Like it is just turning the view on it. And that's where, to me, I had always viewed McCavity as like a negative, a challenge where there's a version where it's also just a family member that's a little bit, the problematic one in the family, or the troubling one in the family. But like you're saying, this is not, it's the same, but also different. Yeah. I love it. It's why this show works so well. Yeah. That's why it's so beautiful. And I'm glad so many people are going to get to see it. Yeah. It's incredible. This has been so fun. How can people stay up with everything you're working on and you're doing and all the stuff in your life? The best way is follow me on Instagram at You Can Call Me Sis. That's where a lot of my shenanigans happen. You can also look at my TikTok and my Twitter. I'm not gonna say the other thing, but yeah, I'm all around. I'm all around in New York City, popping my shit daily. I love it. Follow me. I love it. We will we'll link all those too, so people can follow you and stay in touch. And then once I get I'm gonna be like messaging people, be like, hey, we got a guest judge for you. So that day we will shine a light on your guest judging. Dude, I'm my campaign for the Cats of Jellicle Ball is Sis Thee Jellicle Doll. So like that's my thing. I love it. I'm gonna see for opening how I can really take that to the max. I love it. Sis Thee Jellicle Ball. Sis Thee Jellicle Doll. The Jellicle Doll. Sis Thee Jellicle Ball is so funny. Sis Thee Jellicle Doll. Sis Thee Jellicle Doll. Yes. Amazing. Again, thank you for coming on. This has been so fun. Of course. Thank you. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Can't Die, the podcast breakdown the cast catch feed. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or else listen podcasts. Follow us on social media at The Wrong Can't Die, or check our website, thewrongcan'tdie.com.